Hi, Alex Greenhill here with what I would like to call a series, The Books That Made Me, which are basically the books that influenced me to be a writer. And the first of which is The Jungle Book. I didn't realize the connection till much later, but I grew up listening to basically an audio cassette by a narrator named Jim Weiss, who basically retold several stories from the Jungle Book and the second Jungle Book. Little known fact, the Jungle Book is actually two different books in a series, the first Jungle Book and the second Jungle Book. I listened to this cassette many times when I was little, and it basically subconsciously imprinted on me, because when I started writing stories, they just sort of became not really like rip-offs of Rudyard Kipling, but very similar in the sense that it is, including my novel, stories that are prose combined with little smatterings of poetry in between. And as you can see here, every Jungle Book story comes with a very elaborate song from within the world of the story. My novel Frankenshop features songs or poems like this. I didn't write any of the music for them, but they basically are poems, lines and stanzas, mostly sung by the man-eating plant in the pet shop. But more on the Jungle Book is that I only fully read the Jungle Book myself as an adult this summer. And they are way more violent than the Disney version. And a lot of the, cartoons that I grew up with, there were some lovely adaptations done by Chuck Jones that I grew up with, specifically the one where he adapts Rikki Tikki Tavi, that are very near and dear and close to my heart. Let me see if I can find Rikki Tikki Tavi here. I think it's here. No, it's the White Seal. Rikki Tikki Tavi. This was the animated short film that I grew up with. I constantly had it rented from the Blockbuster, and it is a very cool story. It's about a mongoose who is domesticated and must defend his British owners from a couple of cobras that are menacing the family and want them all dead. For kids. But this particular edition I'm particularly fond of because even though I didn't grow up with it, not just with those beautiful animal prints, but it also comes with kind of small illustrations. Let me see if I can find one. That are beautifully done by a local artist. He also is in Washington, D.C. I can't remember his name right now, but it will come to me. But I was just amazed by how violent these stories are and how beautifully written these stories are. The other thing that popped up in my writing that's similar to the Jungle Book is my capstone piece, which again is also set in a sort of tropical fantasy setting. And it wasn't until a friend of the family noticed, but it's a hell of a lot like a Mowgli story. And I know exactly which Mowgli story he was referencing, because it's my capstone piece is very much about going to a hidden world that is inaccessible to humans. And it's a bit like the Jungle Book in that respect, and there's animal sidekicks and stuff, although my story features the demigod or god Camazotz as the sidekick. Who takes the form of a giant bat, but there are bats in the Jungle Book as well. Mang is mentioned several times, and he's the bat who Mowgli encounters within the Jungle Book. But he's a minor character. And I would also like to note that if you want to see a truly, truly accurate adaptation of the Mowgli stories, I suggest Mowgli, which is on Netflix, which was directed by Andy Serkis. And it adapts the Mowgli stories up to about this one, which is called Letting in the Jungle, where basically they have a conflict with the Man Village. And it is probably the most beautifully done adaptation of the Mowgli stories I have ever seen. And I've grown up with a lot of adaptations, not just the Disney version, but Mowgli's story, that weird one in the 90s that was called The Jungle Book, but was more of an action movie and was really dark, like Kaa ends up killing someone on screen. Yeah, and I've heard that there's a story where you get to see what Mowgli is like as an adult, but I have never read it. It's mentioned towards the end of, I think, Tiger in this. But, yeah, I love this story, and I love all the stories in the book, really, except for maybe His Majesty's Servants, which is just about a bunch of camp animals that I kind of found a little tedious because it's mostly them complaining. I really, really think that of all my books, this is probably the first one that said that basically told me as a kid, stories could be fun, reading can be fun, and all that good stuff. But there are a lot more books where this came from, where I just read it and I just loved it. And I'm so happy to have this particular edition in my library. Till next time, I'm Alex Greenhill, and this is the ending of the first episode of The Books That Made Me. Thank you very much.